Many university administrators are scratching their heads and wringing their hands over the implications of recent DEI directives from the Trump administration. Executive Order number 14151 and the Dear Colleague letter from Craig Traynor have created quite a stir, to say the least. My own institution has created a task force with some of the most level-headed people on campus to ensure compliance as we carry out our university mission. One question that they and colleagues across the country are surely mulling over is what to do with the tradition of segregated graduations. Some folks want to dump them, while others want very much to keep the tradition alive. At a time of considerable distress and confusion in many institutions, I have some good news to share on this subject, something which should encourage all university constituencies. First, the concerns on the right are not generally justified. The issue is often presented as if colleges and universities are conducting separate and segregated graduation ceremonies. Black graduation at 10 a.m., Latinx at 11 a.m., and everyone else at noon. But cheer up, my fellow conservatives, this is simply not the case. The events that most people are referencing are various graduation celebrations. While there is one single graduation ceremony for all students, there are other additional celebrations for different groups of students. This tradition has a long history, and it is often a wonderful practice. Fraternities and sororities have celebrations for their graduating seniors. So do sports teams and special interest clubs. If the college a cappella choir wants to hold a special celebration for members about to receive their diplomas, more power to them. I was part of celebrations like this as a student, and I've taken part more recently as a professor. These are wonderful events I remember quite fondly. Why then all the hullabaloo? Unfortunately, the situation on many campuses is not quite as simple as what I just described. A relatively new practice, begun with the best of intentions, has introduced discrimination where it shouldn't exist. The problem is that in too many schools, particular groups of students are picked as recipients of special graduation celebrations run by the administration. Instead of student groups organizing and funding their own events, administrators step in to organize and pay for larger, more elaborate celebrations for certain groups. The senior leadership of the institution attend, special speakers are arranged, and the whole affair is well catered. Now, one cannot blame the students who are included in these exclusive events for enjoying and appreciating the special treatment. But what is the message these administrators are sending all students in their final days on campus? I fear it is a message that they may have heard previously during their 4 years. All students are equal, but added to this concern for fairness is the Trump administration's less than clear directives against DEI. These same administrators are understandably nervous about what they can and can't do with events like the BIPOC graduation event. But I've got good news. The solution is simply to return the responsibility for these celebrations to the student groups themselves. If the LGBTQ students want to organize their own lavender graduation, great. University employees should encourage them and show up and support if they're invited. If the Black Student Union wants to hold an Umoja celebration, wonderful, they should. And they should use their resources to organize a fantastic event. And if a favorite professor or dean is invited to speak, all the better. Now, some might ask, won't this add more work to these students who are already feeling overwhelmed at the end of the semester? Yes. But if the softball team can do it, if the Christian Fellowship Group can do it, if every Greek organization can do it, so can these others. To suggest otherwise is to coddle young adults who do not need coddling. What colleges and universities should not be doing is picking certain groups of students and creating celebrations for them. Often, this reeks of pandering and paternalism. Moreover, what is the standard for choosing which events to support? Why the Latino students and not the Neurodiversity Club? Why first-generation students and not those who held down both full-time jobs and full-time schoolwork? Who gets preference, the club for Asian Americans or the one for Italian Americans? Instead, no student club or organization should be more equal than any other. Returning the onus, responsibility, and privilege of organizing graduation celebrations to the students themselves places the institution squarely in the spirit and letter of what has been prescribed by the new administration. For some, that is reason enough to oppose this change. However, for those more interested in the cultivation of the institution and its students, this return to previous practice simply makes sense. Why is this good news for everyone? For the critics of these celebrations, it's good to know that most of them were not the hyper-segregated events they were rumored to be. For those who have encouraged these events, there's no need to stop doing so. Keep encouraging them, but without stepping in to organize and pay for them with university resources. The result will be that members of these groups will be treated with respect, not as the subjects of hand-holding. Keep the graduation celebrations, the more the merrier, but administration's favoritism needs to stop. Treat the students like adults one last time before they graduate. Thank you.